Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Popping the Popcorn. I'm your host, Katie, and today is a very special interview because I have the cast of the Wicked Ways of Westford County, and
Webster County.
I don't know, I'm bad. You know I'm bad. I have Michael, and I have Frank. How you doing? How you guys doing tonight?
Excellent. Thanks for having
Good.
us.
Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for introducing me to them, Michael. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you guys have not gone to check out, Michael did another movie. He directed it, and I also did a review on it. And I also interviewed him. He did his other movie, You Should Have Killed Me, and that movie is also on Tubi, so you guys could check that out over there. And that's a great movie.
Yeah, Tubi, Fudu, IndieBox, Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's a good way to kind of see where my head's at as far as a filmmaker. But I can promise you one thing: it's this movie's a different beast, different animal. Let me put it that way.
All right. So, what made you come up with this one?
So this started as so I followed this YouTuber named Mr. Ballin. And he's an ex-Navy SEAL that's become a YouTuber, and he basically retells and recounts real life stories that generally are very kind of scary in nature.
Mhm.
And so he told this story that I'd never heard of before, but it's a real story that happened in 2005. And basically, long story short, is it's about this woman who was a witch, and she recruits these two guys to basically try to kill a 16-year-old pregnant girl. And upon hearing him tell this story, I know this is going to sound wrong under the context that I just said. Uh, the way he told the story was so funny. Like I was belly laughing out loud. I was just like, what are these fucking idiots doing? Like I couldn't believe that these guys were just so incompetent. So immediately I was just like, this would make such a great movie. Like I need to tell the
Mhm.
story, but I didn't want to write like a thriller or like a slasher film or something like that. I kind of wanted to write like the story leading up to the real events.
Mhm.
So The Wicked Ways of Webster County is kind of a slice of life film that kind of leads up to the events that the film is based on. So it's kind of, you kind of get to know these people, you kind of get to
Mhm.
see the, I will say, the agendas that Tyler and I created. They aren't fully based on the real story. But yeah, it's just kind of a
Mhm.
slice of life thriller, kind of dark comedy. There's definitely a lot of moments that you're going to laugh, hopefully, if I did my job right. So, I mean, but yeah, that's kind of where I got the idea from, is just kind of watching a YouTube creator told me a story I'd never heard of. And I was like, this is great. Like, this would make a great film. And obviously, Illinois is not too far from Iowa. So I thought, the real story happened in small town Illinois. I think I can probably base it in small town Iowa. So
Mhm. That's awesome. And what do you do in the movie, Michael?
I play Frank, which is right. I don't play that Frank. I play a different Frank. Um, I play the father of the pregnant teenager who is going to be assaulted by the witch.
That's awesome. And what do you play, Frank?
I play Mark, Mark with a C, I think we decided. I'm the bank manager. I'm kind of the foil to the one of the leading ladies.
yeah,
Oh, that's
Mark is a very interesting character. So we knew we needed a character like Mark because he's kind of one of those, like, you call supporting characters that, like, you could say is like easily forgettable. Um,
Mhm.
but honestly, Mark is kind of one of those characters where it's like he's necessary to kind of tell who the character of Lorraine is, and Lorraine is. Michael Euler's wife in the film. But basically, the real life Frank basically plays the bank manager of Lorraine, like her boss. You kind of use him to like set up a few things, but then he's also kind of this like deciding factor of why Lorraine is able to kind of get her estranged son to reconnect with her, because initially he wants nothing to do with her. And then in the movie, she's like, hey, your dad had, a savings account with our bank. If you want the money, we can get it to you. It's just going to take a little bit. So he agrees to do that, because I should explain that at this point, he wants nothing to do with his mom. He and his mom have not seen each other for, probably 16 to 18 years. And he really has no want to see her at all. But because of this interaction they have with Frank and the character played by Kate, which also shares your name, which is kind of funny because we all share characters' names.
All right.
Kate Robinson Pryor plays Lorraine, Michael's wife in the film. Because of the meeting, or because of the situation with Frank's character Mark, that's kind of what brings them all together. So you might look at Frank's character Mark as kind of one of these like little like supporting, like we don't really need to worry about him, but he actually kind of plays like a pretty pivotal role in the actual story of bringing these two characters together. So and also I don't want to get too into it. If Frank wants to explain more, I can, but like I mentioned before the podcast started, Frank plays a very creepy man when he's challenged too.
I don't want to add to that.
Don't want to add to it. I will say this: so we had a table read, and Frank is a bit aggressive. He kind of gives the hints that there's a lot of like quid pro quos that goes on in that bank. Like, hey, what are you going to do if you want that promotion type thing? And Frank plays it so well that when he was doing the table read, I was watching kind of everybody else on the virtual table read. Everyone was just kind of like, it was fantastic.
Right.
So far, Frank's played a great hitman gangster and a great creeper for me so far.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to really work my screenplay writing abilities to see how far I can push it next. I'm thinking maybe something like latex wise, where we actually get you in like a full on creature suit or something.
Our good friend Patrick saying that Frank sounds like a creepy and very efficient.
He's both those things, yeah. And also I will say he's a gentleman, but you just gotta take that lightly or take it with a grain of salt, whatever you want to say.
So how did you all meet each other?
Well, okay, so I'm gonna explain how Frank and I know each other, and then I think it's opposite for me. So I think if people are seeing what I'm seeing, Michael's down that way. I'm gonna let Michael explain how he met me. But Frank and I have actually known each other for a while, and I actually know this story. And I am gonna embarrass Frank because how I met Frank is still a complete mystery to me. So I had been making short films for a while. I don't think I had quite made You Should Have Killed Me yet, but Frank messaged me out of the blue on Facebook. I had never met him before, had no idea who he was. And he goes, when are you going to write a role for me? And I was like in my head, I was like, I don't know you. So like, I don't know. And then I basically told him, I was like, well, if I ever have a role, for you, like in, your age range, bracket, whatever, I was like, I'll definitely send you out a casting call. And I remember this like none other. He just sends me this super cryptic message back that's just like, I do love a good key lime pie. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I said I do like a good caramel pecan roll.
Yeah, that's what it was. And so, like, literally, so I knew he had worked with Kevin Isaacson, this other director. I've also helped out. So I reached out to Kevin and I was like, hey, what's this Frank guy all about? Like, why is he being so weird and cryptic? And he was like, that's just Frank, man. Take it like a grain of salt. He's like, Frank is one of the most talented individuals you ever meet. You just got to give him a chance. And I think it was like 3 or 4 months later, maybe a little longer. I had met you at the first film festival we were at, and then maybe like 3 months after that, we casted you in Closing Shop. So it wasn't too long after that. But yeah, Frank hit me with one of the weirdest opening lines I've ever had in my messenger to date. And yeah, so I mean, but that was, because I saw you at the IMPAs last year. I saw you at a bunch of film festivals last year. And then we did Closing Shop together. I've seen you since then on other projects. So I think Frank and I are probably gone on like a 2 or 3 year relationship. Yeah, the way he approached me was super aggressive, much like his character Mark. And I really, in hindsight, I appreciated it. But at the time, I was like, "The fuck is this guy?" It was great.
That's awesome. But he's so quiet now. So there you go.
I do love a good caramel pecan roll. Yeah, I blame it all on Kevin Isaacson. Yeah, he orked us. I remember I was on the set of, I think it was Knee High with Marissa Vaughn when I found out I got cast in Closing Shop. So I was thrilled. I was showing everybody, hey man, I get to play a hitman.
So, very cool. Yeah, that's another awesome Iowa filmmaker that's super talented. Her and Bruce James Bales are basically a power couple at this point.
That's awesome.
All right, Michael, where'd you meet me?
So, a lot of actors like to troll like backstage and actors' accents and try to find whatever they can find. But I like keeping an eye on other filmmakers and what they're doing. And I kept seeing the post where you should have killed me. You should have killed me all over the place. And all the awards and the wins. And I'm like, I got to watch this thing. I watched it and I was like, that's a studio I want to work with. So I followed their studio and patiently waited. And then there was a little post saying, we're looking for some people. And I was like, bam, I'm sending in. So I sent them an email and I'm like, I've been following you guys, like dying to work on something you guys are doing. And I could audition, that would be great. And he let me audition.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the best part about that story is you never really know who you're reaching social media wise. I kind of count Michael and I's relationship along with the story that I'm about to tell you. So like when Michael first auditioned, I'd kind of said like, hey, I see you're in Wisconsin, man. Like, are you sure you want to make the trip? Are you sure you're willing to do that? And he basically told me, he's like, dude, I've been following you for like a year, dude. He's like, I've been waiting for this opportunity. I've wanted to work with you. And like, I was just so like, my mind was blown, but I was so humbled at the same time that I was like, man, I can't believe that this guy's been like following me. Because the way I look at it is Red Arc Productions is still like a very like local independent production company. So like, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, you never know who is actually following you online. And then this situation, it worked out for me because Michael totally killed this audition in the role of Frank. And I can't imagine anyone else playing Frank. And it was fantastic. And this is actually when it was, I think your role was actually a lot smaller. And then based on your audition, we actually made it a bigger role. As soon as Tyler and I saw Michael's audition for Frank, we were just like, we need to give this guy more screen time. Like, he's fantastic. So we actually ended up giving his character a larger part. And he kind of plays like so I explained earlier in the podcast how his wife Lorraine in the film and his daughter Carla in the film, both played by Kate and Kate, oddly enough, have like, Lorraine has like an estranged relationship with her son. Michael's character Frank kind of plays that like middleman that's kind of trying to keep the peace. Like, it's just kind of like, hey, how about those Yankees? Like every time kind of an awkward moment breaks out. And goddamn, he does such a great job playing Frank. Like, I'm so excited to film those sequences because I just know that they're going to be funny, and it's going to take every ounce of willpower for the crew not to be holding in laughs in the background. Same way with Frank's actual character, Mark. I guarantee you, when we do those bank scenes, like, you're not going to be able to look at me, Frank, because I'm just going to be behind the camera, like just laughing hysterically. But yeah, I was blown away by just Michael following me for so long. I had no idea. Like, he had never reached out to that point. You know, like, I'd never heard of him. He didn't send me the pecan roll message. So like, I had no idea who he was. So I was kind of blown away by that, like, very humbled. I just felt very honored that someone of his caliber would even be kind of following me in that aspect. Because honestly, I feel like Michael's one SAG project away from actually being signed to SAG. Frank as well. Frank's put in his time. They're both like on the verge of being SAG qualified actors. But yeah, it kind of goes along, like I said, it's like you never really know kind of who's following you. So when this whole fundraiser started, we hadn't raised a whole bunch of money within like the first 10 days. I was kind of starting to get a little stressed out. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to keep her name nameless because I don't know if she wants me to share it. But we get this $1,000 donation just out of the blue. And I was like, who is this? And I asked Tyler, I was like, do you know who this is? And he's like, I have no idea who that is. So I found this person on Facebook, reached out to her, and just like, hey, thank you so much for donating. And basically the same thing. She was like, I've been following you since I saw you. You should have killed me. I've been waiting for this opportunity. Like, I'm not an actor. I'm not talented in that regard. But like, I've always wanted to support you. So like, I want to put my money where my mouth is. And like, here's $1,000. Like, make your film. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, you never know who's following you. You never know who's supporting you. And it's so cool when like individuals like that come forward, because it's just like, oh my God. Because like the amount of like weight on my shoulders at the time was like enormous. And then as soon as we saw that like $1,000 donation, I was just like, oh my God, like the weight disappeared. I was like, okay, we're close to being on track to our goal. Like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like, I can finally sleep at night for a little bit. And unfortunately, now we're kind of hitting that plateau again where we need some other people to come forward. But I mean, keep your fingers crossed. It's not for me. I haven't made a single dime personally on any of my movies. Basically, it goes to the two gentlemen below me, and that's where the money goes. It goes to paying them for travel time, paying food for the cast and crew. You know, I'm a small enough filmmaker at this point that like I've never had to pay for wardrobe. Generally, the cast will just shoot me some screenshots or selfies of a bunch of different outfits, and I'm like, that works. So I mean, but yeah, most of it just goes to like feeding them, giving them lodging, paying for their actual abilities on set. And things of that. Like, this money does not go to me and Tyler in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's not going into my bank account at all. It's all going down to those guys down there, and it's well deserved. My last film, You Should Have Killed Me, we had to do like a deferred payment plan, and it's just been such a slow, tedious process trying to build enough money to pay all them that like I don't want to do that this time. I would rather just pay everyone outright. And honestly, I would make a special deal with them where if I paid everyone outright and this film ended up blowing up and like, you know, made hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would kick a certain percentage back their way just for helping me out. So
that's awesome. Patrick's saying Michael's creating characters out of thin air. That takes skills.
Which characters, Patrick?
Your characters, them two.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that is a great casting story.
Which one? We've talked about two great ones.
Both of them.
Yeah, I also saw Patrick said, were you surprised to suddenly find raising a budget a little bit more difficult this time around? Yes and no. So you got to be realistic, right? Maybe you've noticed. So like, I have an Emmy behind me, right? So I mean, I'm an Emmy-winning videographer, but you have to be realistic. Like, no one really knows who I am. Like, I don't walk down the street. I don't sign autographs. I'm not in
Right.
tabloids. I'm not super famous. I've never had an IMDb rating inside like 10,000. Like, no one knows who I am. So, is it surprising in a sense of like, did I expect kind of like local
Mhm.
supporters to step up a little bit more? Yes, and I think they have. But at the same time, am I shocked that I'm not really,
Mhm.
getting to 5,000 or 10,000 or $15,000 super quick? No, because no one knows who I am. Like, you should have killed me. I'm proud of that movie. There's a lot of flaws I see in it personally, but I feel like every creator has those flaws when they see them. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like, I'm still a nobody. Like, I'm not super famous. I'm not like, I didn't win an Oscar or something like that. So I mean, you have to like kind of remember who you are and try to stay true to that person. Because if you
Mhm.
walk around with like that Conor McGregor arrogance of when he's like walking into the ring, like people are just going to think you're a dick, and then you're not going to raise any money at all. So you
Right.
just kind of have to like stay true to yourself and stay humble and remember your roots and things like that. Every one of us here in this like in this podcast right now like started out from the bottom and now we're here. I mean, going back to
Mhm.
whoever made that rap song, but like my career started around the same time as Frank's career. We've both had to work. We both had to bust our butts.
Mhm.
I watched his career grow at the same rate my career grow. I'm sure Michael has a very similar story about maybe starting in like local commercials and
Mhm.
working his way up. But I mean, we all, outside of the Midwest, like we understand that like no one knows who we are. So we're trying to
Right.
change that. We're trying to fix that. And I can't speak directly for these two. I'm sure they'll weigh in. But yeah, like, you gotta be realistic. Like, I mean, yeah, you
Mhm.
should have killed me getting picked up for distribution was huge, but like, I
Right.
mean, thousands of films, tens of thousands of films get picked up
Mhm.
for distribution. You just have to set yourself apart, which is what we're trying to do with this next one.
Right. Patrick saying you're on the way, Michael. You're making original stories, so it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah.
You
Michael,
know.
Frank, you guys want to weigh in on that?
I would just say to your listeners that if you're going to contact a director, do it the way Michael O did it, not the way I did it. Do it this way. But yeah, it's acting's in our blood. It's what we sign up for, and we love doing it. And MJ says that, we're not, he's not well known. And heck, my own wife looks at me sometimes. I don't even know you. Who are you? So I mean, it's just the way it is. But I don't think, speaking personally, I mean, I'm not necessarily doing it for fame, or fortune. It's just I really love it. And yeah, it would be nice to make a living at it, make a good living at it. I won't lie, but I'm sure I just love it. I love acting.
That's awesome. What about you, Mike?
I agree. um, man, I mean, yeah, it's definitely interesting at this level, where we're not beginning, but we're not there, and finding the balance,
Mhm.
between making money and doing it because you love it, and bringing that all together. It's that in itself. I think the whole thing with this is like people who get into this field and career. I mean, you might not really get how like psychologically like just a lot it is. Like, you've
Mhm.
got weeks that are amazing and you're like, I'm totally going to make it. Like, this is going great. And then you'll have a
Mhm.
period where nothing's really happening and you're like, maybe I should go to Amazon and get a job. And it just kind of like you're all over the place, all over the place. But I tell you, when you land roles like this, like I'm so looking forward to this one. Like, this is a fun
Mhm.
one. But that's, you get that, and it's just that makes everything all right.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
fighting our way to the middle.
Right.
And honestly, I will say, going back to kind of Patrick's question, I know he asked like if I thought there was like a difference between raising money for this film and You Should Have Killed Me. Honestly, the main difference between this film and You Should Have Killed Me is You Should Have Killed Me was filled with like all Iowa talent. We all lived within 2 hours of each other. Like everyone hadn't made a feature at that film. It was my first feature. It was Michael and Brittany's first feature. A lot of the people on set, it was their first feature. And so it was kind of like one of those like statewide efforts to just see if it could be done. And then once it did and we got distribution, that was just kind of icing on the cake because it kind of showed validation of like, hey, this ragtag group from Iowa can get a worldwide international distribution deal. So it was all kind of proven like, hey, we can do this. But the hardest part about working with the Wicked Ways of Webster County is now that I've created that standard for myself, I now have people like Michael from Wisconsin. I have people from Omaha. I have people from Oklahoma. I have people from Oregon. I have people now all over the country that are like, we want to be in this film, and they're sending me auditions and they're accepting roles only for me to find out later that they moved to Oregon or that they live in Oklahoma or that they live outside of the state. So I think the biggest hurdle for me now is trying to, instead of just being like, hey, we're going to shoot for 10 days straight because everyone lives within 2 hours of where we're filming. It's now like, holy shit, okay, we have to plan out blocking so that this person from Oklahoma can be at this set at the same time as this person from Omaha, but then also these two people from the Quad Cities in Des Moines can also be here. So now I'm trying to schedule out blocking where like some of our talent from out of state don't have to come up one weekend and then come up the next weekend and then come up the next weekend. It's like, no, let's try to get, 2, 3, 4 scenes out of the way so that we can cut down on the amount of travel time. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Like, I love the fact that people from all over the country now want to work with me. It's kind of a sign to myself that like, hey, I've established myself that I'm a director that delivers. You're not going to shoot anything with me that's going to end up on the cutting room floor and it's never going to see the light of day. Like I'm actually doing things. But at the same time now it's kind of like, I'm still an independent filmmaker. Like the most money I've ever raised is, $5,000 to do a film. And now I have all these people from out of state that want to film with me. But it's like, okay, well, now how are we going to pay them? Because like, I don't want them to drive that far and for me to basically be like, here's $20, like, because that's stupid. That sucks. So, I mean, that's the biggest difference now is just kind of like balancing that, like, okay, what's fair to someone like Michael and what's fair to someone like Frank? Because even though Frank's an Iowa guy, he's still driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to shoot. So it's kind of like what's fair to those guys to make it worth their while, but at the same time, do the blocking, plan everything out in advance to where it's like, okay, hey, you guys are coming up for this whole weekend. We're going to shoot all of these scenes in one bundle. And then we're going to take a break. You guys maybe will come back in like a month and then we'll finish all of those scenes and then you'll be wrapped. So it's kind of like trying to make it worth their while, but at the same time, like also paying them what they're worth. Because I mean, last time I checked, Michael, I'm not sure where you're at in Wisconsin, but I know Madison's about like 4.5, 5 hours away from where I am. So like, that's the thing is like, if you're even north than that, if that's even farther from you.
No, I'm south. I could literally ride my bike over the Illinois border.
Oh,
I'm in Kenosha. I'm right between Milwaukee and Chicago.
Yeah, well, never mind. You suck. Anyway,
Val in the chat.
That makes me feel a little bit better. But at the same time, it's like when you have people coming in that are driving 5+ hours, 6+ hours, to be on set. You don't want to like show up, be like, have them film like a 4 or 5 hour scene and be like, all right, thanks, bye, see you next weekend. Like, you want to try to get as much done as you can that weekend as possible, and then of course provide lodging and everything. So, like I said. If you guys are watching, please donate to the Wicked Ways of Webster County, because it does not go to me. It goes to these two gentlemen down here and the rest of the cast. It gives them food, gives them places to stay, and basically takes care of them so that they don't think I'm a giant asshole and don't want to work with me in the future. So
You are not an a-hole, Michael. You are not.
I forgot.
Val,
Kate doesn't like to swear, but she allows me to.
Val's in Milwaukee. That's why she was asking where you were from.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just 35, 40 minutes from you.
Ooh.
So y'all could go meet up and hang out. Yeah. There you go.
Val, if I remember right, Michael's single too.
How was it meeting how was it Michael and Frank, how was it meeting you two? Were you guys on set together or anything, or how was it meeting you guys?
Well, I can answer this. We don't start shooting until like the last part of June. So they haven't been on set together, and I don't think you guys will. I don't think you have a scene together.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, you'll have to explain you guys can actually call me out on the table read if you want, because I was having massive technical difficulties, and I think all of these guys are pretty sick of me. But yeah, I'll let you guys take it away.
Well, I think, Frank, you came in later on it, because initially I read your part before you got there, and then you came in, and then we reread your part with you doing it the right way.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were having some technical issues. I don't know what was going on that night. Everybody was having problems. But yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say Patrick asked you a question, so I was gonna say.
I responded in chat. I said no.
Right.
So if there is any young filmmakers listening to this, shot lists are crucial. Have a shot list. Let your DP know what you're doing. The way I like to do shot lists, I don't have an example on me laying around, but if I have my screenplay, I will literally write like, this part of dialogue is like a close-up. This part of dialogue is like a medium. This part of dialogue is a wide. This part of dialogue is a close-up. I'll go through the script and make sure that I have everything at least shot listed so that the DP knows what we're doing. Storyboards, however, I have done storyboards on 2 films. I probably spent over 32 hours on each storyboard drawing every frame of the movie, only for my DP to look at it and go, cool, throw it away and never look at it again. So I refuse to storyboard. I'm not doing it anymore. Unless they want to hire someone to storyboard for me and make some cool, like, comic book style, basically graphic novel on its own. But yeah, no, I'm not storyboarding anymore.
Yeah, don't hire me because I can't draw. I can only draw stick figures. You wouldn't want that.
Hey, some directors, that's all they do. I just kind of draw blobs that look like humans, but
right. Are you two method actors? Are you two any method actors, or do you guys just how do you guys get into character?
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm
all blank.
Pretty good about it really not being a process. I can pretty much get into character without much thought, regardless of what the role is or the portrayal. I think for me, awesome. I think my process is really the wording. Punctuation to me is everything. Like, I focus more on punctuation than anything when I'm learning lines, because that punctuation is going to tell you where to put the emotion, where to put the emphasis, which word is the key word to take away from the sentence. So it's really about getting that structure down and then adding the emotion to it based on the punctuation. So yeah, like that to me is the big thing. And like getting into character, like it's just, you just get in front of the camera and do it.
Yeah, I will say this, based on Michael's audition, the character Frank, which he plays, honestly, I kind of designed it after my own dad. My dad is one of those like super red Christian Midwestern rednecks, if you will, that uses words like wash instead of wash and wrestle instead of wrestle. And he calls the TV a boob tube. Like it's a very like Midwestern thing, right? And I remember this conversation we have, which I actually borrowed part of it for the movie that Michael acts out. But my dad was explaining to me why he bought this gun. And I was just kind of like, why do you need that? I was like, you're like almost 80 years old. Why do you need that? And he's like,
Right.
well, hell, the NRA published a report that a guy with a knife can cover 30 yards in 5.8 seconds. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that still doesn't explain why you need that gun. And he's like, well, what am I going to do if there's a guy with a knife? And I'm like, how many enemies do you have, Dad? Like, you're 80 fucking years old. Calm down. And so, like, literally that conversation I had, like, so that, like, Michael's character, Frank, is literally my dad. He's very just like your Midwestern redneck, if you will. I know they're associated with the South, but we have our fair share in the Midwest. But yeah, he embodies that Midwestern redneck, if you will. Just like, well, hell, the NRA is God, and they tell me everything I need to know about guns. And if you don't like what the NRA says, then you're wrong. And I'm just like, all right, Dad, whatever you want to say. And yeah, very quickly conversations with him buying guns and my mom losing her shit at him for spending too much money. Like that is sorry, mirrored opposite. That is Michael's character, Frank. And so like I tried to write the dialogue kind of like the way my dad talks. And yeah, when he sent in his audition, I was like, yeah, he was picking up and I was throwing down. Like he understood the assignment to a T. His audition's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll let Frank get into his actually, but I'm gonna mute myself and stop my video for a second because I have to use the restroom real quick.
You're good. No problem.
I'm going to pop one thing in there before you go, Frank. What Michael doesn't know is Michael and I had a discussion about his dad, and it gave me some ideas. So I got a little secrets that I'm going to pull out on set with this character that I think he's gonna get a kick out of.
You said you got a secret?
Yeah, I got a couple little things I'm gonna do that mirror stories Michael told me about his dad, and they're gonna be so subtle, and no one's gonna notice them except for him, and he's gonna shit his pants when he sees it. So I'm very excited about it.
I like it already. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's gonna be cool. I'll have to see if I could try to pick it out when I watch the movie next year when it comes out. So Frank, do you get into character or do you just do what Michael does? How do you get into character?
Just fake it till you make it. No, Michael said it. Punctuation is kind of the what you use as the rocks in the stream as you're going down the river with a character. Those punctuation marks and those breaths, they're the ones that determine which way you flow. And I think most actors, they just kind of let it flow. And then what I like to do is I like to record my rehearsals when I'm just kind of in my office running lines. I like to record myself. And then I can go back and look at it and see how it sounded, how it looked, and then refine from there and say, that was pretty good. I don't know if that felt good, that felt natural, that felt true to that character, or that was horrible. I gotta change direction on the river on that. But yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way to do it. You have to come by it naturally, and so
that's awesome.
One thing with that whole getting into character thing, I gotta say it's actually easier for me to get into character than just be myself in an interview like this. Like it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you guys tell an upcoming actor? What would you guys tell them if they're just starting to act? What would you guys tell them?
Depends on what the question was.
No,
Well, I have a question recently. So I was recently in, I guess, I think, Frank, are you in that Operation Crimson Dark too?
I almost was this close. Chase got a hold of me, and then it just didn't work out.
Yeah, so there's another Iowa filmmaker who asked me to audition for a soldier character in this kind of like, think of like special operative soldiers versus like this new kind of plague of vampires. It's part of a larger universe. I never really got into it. I think it might actually be based on like a comic book or like a graphic novel. I don't know for sure, but yeah. So he's doing that. He asked me to play like a soldier character, and I was kind of slightly nervous because like I say, like I'm a director for a reason. I like to be behind the camera, not in front of it. But my whole character was like all suited up and like tactical gear. So like I had night vision goggles on. I had this whole breathing apparatus on, and I found out that I could actually act behind a mask when no one could see me. And what that ended up doing for me was I was like, well, shit, if I can do it with the mask on, I'm sure I can do it with the mask off. And so like I've started trying to like push myself a little bit. So my question to these guys is, I guess as a director, like asking an actor, is it one of those things where it's like you have to make that mental decision of like, I'm going to flip this switch on 100% and I'm going to give it my all without caring what people think of me? Or is it like one of those things that just was like, just came naturally to you kind of thing? Because for me, I had to like flip a switch. I had to decide that like, I don't care about what anyone else thinks about my performance. I don't care about what people think about me. Like I'm just going to do it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then the director is going to tell me what's wrong, kind of thing. But I would have never been able to do that if I didn't have that mask on at first, kind of thing.
I think. Okay, so my whole start is kind of weird. So I started doing this because I thought it was funny. I got to work background on Chicago Fire. So that was the first time I ever did anything related. Like I was just like, this is so cool. Like, this is cool. And it was a 16-hour day. I loved every minute of it. And I met all these other people and they were like, oh, you can work on this show and this show and this show. So I'm like, oh my God, like I'm going to work on all these TV shows. So I had no desire to be in it. Like it wasn't even a thing. Like I was just like, this is fun. Like this is just cool being on TV shows. So then I was working Empire. And the second time I was on Empire, they were like, hey, do you want to be Terrence Howard's security guard for the rest of the season on the show? I'm like, yeah. So I spent the whole last season of Empire in a suit and tie, standing behind Terrence Howard like I was protecting him. And while I was there, I'm watching Taraji Henson and Terrence Howard every day. And over time, I'm like, I can do that. I can totally do that. So then I started doing like student films and small projects just to see if I could memorize lines and stuff. And I think from having so much on-set experience on the big sets and seeing Terrence Howard screw his lines up, seeing Taraji Henson almost fall downstairs, like you see that they're just normal people making mistakes that everyone makes. And I'm like, if they can do it and they can get through it, why can't I do that? And so then it just kind of became a thing, like where once the camera was on, there's nothing else around me. Like I can film scenes. And like when the scene's over, I'm like, did I even say my lines? Like, I don't even like it. Just like once you're in front of the camera, something just connects and it just goes and you have no consciousness of what's going on around you, behind you. You don't think about who's watching it. You don't think about where the camera is. Like there have been times where I've filmed stuff and I was like, was the camera even there? Like I didn't even know, So I think it's a combination of not worrying and not caring and being so concerned about what you're doing that nothing else matters, and a bit of natural ability to be able to do it and not think about it. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. I would echo the same thing. Yeah, just an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. So just let it rip, tater chip.
All right, so Frank, I got a question for you. You're the only actor in the Wicked Ways of Webster County that has actually worked on a film that both Tyler and I have been at. So, with that being said, what advice would you give Michael as far as working with Tyler and I?
Oh, they're super laid back.
That was your moment for shit talking, and you passed it up.
Yeah, you're no, it's seriously, they're really laid back. They just want to make a great film, and Michael O is a pro, and he'll fit right in, and we're gonna make something special. I can't wait for people to see it.
I'm waiting for these subtle details from my father to sneak in there and see if I recognize him.
Right.
You're gonna die.
You
You're
don't
gonna
think
die.
I follow Kate on my phone? You're mistaken, sir.
I've got two particular. They're not even lines. They're not the things I'm gonna do in the scene. You're gonna die. You're gonna love them.
No, I don't think MJ's an a-hole. He's a nice guy. He'll treat you good.
You guys don't know me very well. None of you.
Hey, I could ask your wife. There you go. Could ask her.
She'd probably tell you I'm an asshole.
Patrick was saying Michael makes good directing to work with, or what does he do that makes him stand out? I don't know. What makes him stand out?
I guess Michael, most people are probably a little bit more organized in their pre-production process, but I mean, you could rein in on that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Frank's the only one out of these two that have worked.
Yeah,
like
I said, just on set. We're on set for Closing Shop. I think we filmed that in Waterloo, Iowa, in October of was that 22?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. He's great to work with. Every director has got their personality, much like a DP, and sometimes on these, independent stuff, the DP and the director are the same person, one and the same. So it's just about getting along and managing personalities and understanding that he's got a job to do. As actors, we've got a job to do, and we all want to make something great. So you just flush the egos and you just get to work. And that's a Midwestern thing, I think. It's just.
Oh, they're talking about your shirt now, apparently.
Frank, you're
your
in hot
Viking
water.
Shirt.
I know.
They're talking about your Viking shirt.
This is my method acting when I need to be frustrated and have tears. My method acting, my Vikings.
I don't know sports, so I don't know what y'all are talking about, because Patrick's saying it slipped by me. I don't know what y'all are talking about. So, I don't know.
There's always next year,
Stuff
Katie.
goes over my head all the time. So I don't know what y'all are talking about there. So I'm excited for the movie. I can't wait to see like all the set designs and how different it is from the other movie that I watched. I've seen some of your short films as well, and I'm excited for y'all, and I'm excited to help you guys along the way. If there's anything that I could do through my social medias or just go on here, just let me know.
Yeah, that would be great. Honestly, we have 27 days left to raise any kind of money. I know we initially asked for 15, which I don't expect to get anywhere near that, but there is a certain dollar amount I need in order to be able to actually make this film. And so if we can get that, we're in great shape. I do have a few friends and private investors that said they're going to come in towards the end because they kind of want to see where we're at and then gauge how much they need to give to like get us to a certain number. But at the same time, like I said, this movie does not go to me. It does not go to Tyler. It goes to the cast and crew who are making this film with us. I have not made a single dime on any single one of my movies I've ever made, whether it be features, shorts, nothing. And so whether it be $5, whether it be $2, whether it be $200, whether it be $2,000, if you guys can donate anything to the Wicked Ways of Webster County, that would be so great.
Mhm.
And I'm not just saying that as a director that wants to make a movie. Like, you're making a
Right.
difference in so many people's lives. Like I said, both the gentlemen below us right now are like 1 gig away from becoming a SAG member, probably moving on to the big leagues, never being able to work with me again because I'll probably never make a SAG production. But I'm all
Right.
about, like I said, I'm all about rising tides lift all boats, right? So, I mean, if this production can get both Michael and Frank to the next level, awesome.
Mhm.
That's what I want. I want to see them succeed. And so that's what I'm here for. I've said it in other podcasts that we've talked about this. Like, when we shot this film in 2022, I think You Should Have Killed Me was like maybe one of 2 feature-length films being shot in Iowa at the time. And now this year alone, there's like 6 feature-length films being shot by different directors. So it's just, the film scene is growing. I'm just glad I could be kind of a, I don't want to call it trailblazer because there's many other filmmakers here way before me doing this, but I'm just glad I could be kind of at somewhat of the tip of the sword, kind of leading that way and drawing more attention to the area.
Mhm.
I don't know how many times in podcasts I did with You Should Have Killed Me where I said, rising tides lift all boats, like let's grow together. And I think this year is a perfect example of that happening. So we go from one feature film, so even before You Should Have Killed Me, we go from one feature film maybe every 2, 3, 5 years to
Right.
all of a sudden 6 feature length films being shot over the summer in Iowa. It's wild. It is crazy.
Right.
And so I'm excited. I'm excited that the film industry in the state is taking off. Like, I want nothing less. I'm so happy for everyone involved.
That's awesome. Are you going to do some of the same places, or are you going to do different places in Iowa?
We're going to do different places. So we have some cool locations, which you guys don't know about, but we have some cool locations that have already granted us authorization to film there. Kind of like one of those million type spots. I had to actually sell myself as a filmmaker because when I just said, "Hey, I'm an independent filmmaker and I want to film there," they were just kind of like, "Yeah, we're good." And I was like, "Well, the last one I did got picked up for international distribution." They were kind of like, "All right, we're listening." So
Right.
one of those areas that like you actually have to promote yourself a little bit, which I hate doing. Honestly,
You should just carry your Emmy to those places.
Right.
I don't know how many times people have made that joke, and I'm just like,
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, you should just bring your Emmy on set. That would be funny.
yeah. When Frank gets annoying, I'll just be like, "Talk to my Emmy, Frank. I'm busy."
Right.
That would be funny.
No.
If you just did that, just bring your Emmy everywhere. People would be like, "Who is that?"
Good. It's actually surprisingly heavy, and I'm not even just showboating right now. It weighs probably like 7 or 8 pounds. Like, I definitely think it weighs more than the M4 that I carried in the military because I can definitely carry my M4 longer than I could carry that. But it's wild. It's like they put a weight at the bottom of it. Excuse me.
You're good.
Pretty cool.
Patrick's saying show off the Emmy.
Have M. Yeah. There you go, guys. That's what
That's
an Emmy
awesome.
looks like. Cue Halo music. I don't know.
Right. That's awesome, though.
Yes.
I'm happy he won that.
Yeah, did it for a PSA for teen mental health, so not a bad thing to win it for by any means.
Right. It was so funny. The first time that I had Michael on, I didn't even know that he won an Emmy, and Patrick goes, "You didn't know?" And I was like, "No."
Well, it's not something I brag about, unless you're Michael Huntington. Then I like to brag about it to Michael Huntington all the time because he deserves it. Michael
Right.
Huntington was the DP of You Should Have Killed Me. Actually, I just saw him on set, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before. He was giving me shit, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Where's your Emmy at?" And he was just like, "Fuck you."
Right. By the way, I just gave you $10 for your movie.
Hey, we're almost to 2,700 chat. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So there you go. I just did it. I just snuck it. That's all.
You're the best, Katie.
There you go.
I don't
So,
care what Patrick says about you. You're the best.
No, you just gotta watch out for Killer Katie. That's all. That's my alter ego when I get upset. Patrick knows. He'll tell you.
Killer Katie? Ooh, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, Killer Katie is not a nice person.
Well, you've
I'm
always
nice,
been a
but
total
she's not
sweetheart.
nice. What?
You've always been a total sweetheart. Maybe I'll wait until you admin for Patrick's podcast, and then I'll just start talking shit in the chat and see how far I can push it.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it because what I tell people is she don't care whose feelings she hurts.
Well, Patrick's talking shit right now. He says you mean Squishmallow Katie?
Yeah, well, because he knows I collect squishmallows.
No.
Oh, it reversed. Hold on, it reversed it. I'm gonna go back after the show. I'll go back and put in $10. It reversed it for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh,
He's talking about because I have
I appreciate it either way.
See,
Yeah, we talked about these the last time I was on, I think.
yeah, I got squishmallows all around me.
Yeah.
I even got the Gryffindor lion too.
There you go.
This is squishmallow.
Keeping it film industry related. Well, I guess book related first, but
I got
Well,
a
you know I
question.
like film.
so we're reaching an hour. Do we want to keep going?
It's
there
up to
anything
y'all.
else we can
Whatever.
talk about? Anybody in the chat that wants to ask us any questions?
I got a quick question for Michael O.
I was gonna say these guys are way more interesting than me. Talk to these guys.
Well, Michael O. All right, Michael O. Do you have a agent or anything that represents you then?
I do. I actually just switched agents last week.
Why don't you tell the viewers about that? How that works?
So my new agent is Actors Talent Group in Chicago. So, I mean, it's been a week, so I can't say too much about it. We gotta see what happens here, but
that's a bigger one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The only reason I was laughing while I was muted is because Michael had expressed some concerns, we'll say, about his current agent the last time I talked about it. But now that I found out he got a new one, it just was funny to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. I just thought it was interesting how you got on Chicago Fire and Empire. The listeners.
Oh, I didn't.
Figure out how you did it.
Yeah, I didn't have an agent for that. I did that all on my own. So, okay, I'll list. These are the shows I got to work on: Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Empire, Fargo, Lovecraft Country, Next, Run, Emily in Paris, Work in Progress, 61st Street. So I got to work on a lot of shows and got to work with really cool people. Like I got to work with Tommy Flanagan and Hope McCallany and Emily Althouse and Scott Foley, and like the list just goes on and on. Like it was so cool. It was so cool. It was so fun.
What the hell am I doing on this podcast?
But I mean, theoretically, it was all just like background. So it wasn't like, I mean, there's no clout.
It's still cool though.
I don't know. It is. It's cool.
But that's still cool though that you got to work with all those people.
It was really
so
cool.
Frank, what are you trying to say, bro?
I'm not trying to say nothing, bro.
The production.
I like learning about that kind of stuff about actors.
I just think I think it's fascinating. I think it's really cool that you got on the shows without any agency help to get you and then you're just kind of like you said, fighting your way to the middle to get to the top one day. That's cool.
Yeah,
right.
It was really cool because the production's all, I behave the way you're supposed to behave on set, and which I don't behave like that in real life, but they would give me really nice, like what were considered like featured roles. So like for 61st Street, I was in all 16 episodes side by side with Holt McCallany. So like we'd just sit and talk. I'd be talking to Holt McCallany while he's on the phone with Bradley Cooper, and I'm like, what's even happening right now? And like just stuff like that, and just like standing there hanging out with Tommy Flanagan, and it was cool. It was really cool. And then it got to a point where I started doing the student films, and then I have been progressively doing bigger and bigger things, and so I don't really get to do the background stuff anymore. I kind of stay away from that because I'm hoping those are the roles that I can get from agents to be on those shows. The last one I did was The Bear. I worked an episode of The Bear. And I mean, that was cool just to be, that shows all the rage. I haven't seen it because I don't have Hulu.
I love that show. It's a good show.
Yeah, everyone loves The Bear. And so like I got to be a little part of that. So that was very cool.
Hey, you got your foot in the door, and now it's up to you to keep it in there.
Right.
Get under the roof.
You got to tell me what episode of The Bear. My wife loves that show.
I do
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You have to let me know too, so that way I could go watch it.
they
Be like, I know that guy.
Yeah, they filmed season 3, but I don't know what episode it is yet. So like
I don't even think season 3 is out yet, is it, Kate?
No,
No, it's not out yet.
that's the one we just filmed. Yeah.
Very
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I'm actually, if y'all want to know, I'm actually in Burn Notice. I'm in a couple episodes of Burn Notice because my best friend, I was an extra, but my best friend sister wrote for that show. So I actually got to go there for like 2 or 3 days and be in like a couple episodes. It was really cool.
Nice.
Who was the dark-haired guy in that show? The star of that. What was his name?
Bruce Campbell?
No, he was the guy, the younger guy.
Oh, I don't
The
remember.
lead. I can't think of his name.
Bruce Campbell's the shit, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
got
was-
to meet him. That was cool. And
Campbell
then
was-
I also got to be in Alan Jackson's "It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere" video because he filmed at the bar. At a bar, he filmed that at a bar, so I got to be in that video too in Jupiter, Florida. It's
Very
Jeffrey Donovan.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
Patrick,
Yeah, he was the mentor. Bruce Campbell was the mentor to that other character. Yeah.
Yes.
all I'm learning after hearing Michael talk is just how much money I'm going to have to take out of Frank's cut and give it to Michael.
Exactly. I'm gonna get
No. There's still no big price tag to my name.
It's
Oh,
awesome.
with
I just think it's-
with an IMDb page like that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Here's my Chicago Fire story. I got sent an audition request. I sent it in. They don't give you much information. They give you more information on how to upload your site or your audition or whatever, your slate. They give you more information on that than what you're doing, And it was in January, and I heard back, and I never heard back. And they always say, "Yeah, don't call us, we'll call you." If you don't hear from anybody, you didn't get it. Well, my only hope was that I only had like 2 days notice, or under 2 days, and I got it sent in on Friday. They needed it Friday by noon, and a huge blizzard hit Chicago. I mean, huge. It hit here, it hit all over, and then the following Monday was Martin Luther King Day. So we got into next Tuesday, and I was sitting there thinking, I gotta reach out. No, I'll wait. So I waited another day. So I waited till Wednesday. I got a hold of my B&B Chicago. I'm with B&B Chicago, it represents me. And I get a hold of Joanna. I said, look, I don't smash me in the mouth here. I know, don't call us. We'll call you if you don't hear anything. But I said, my only hope is that because of the blizzard and the holiday, they hadn't cast it yet. And she goes, no, they cast it, Frank. You didn't get it. She goes, but you'll get more opportunities. So that's my story. That's my Chicago Fire Flex failure.
So, I mean, how did you approach them? Did you approach with a pecan roll, or did you take a different approach?
I thought about that, and I thought, do I use a Chicago accent? I said, there's 1,000 guys out there that could do that. So I just did my Minnesota accent, the normal one that I had, and I just did my Frank normal voice, and there wasn't much there. I wasn't going to win an Oscar with playing Nicky, the manager of the fish aquarium, but I just did me, and the one I took was the one that felt the most natural. And again, I was just up against all hopes, just hoping the blizzard they had, but they did. So, and I don't know who got it. I'm sure they did a wonderful job. So, yeah.
Very cool.
That's cool.
That is
I
one
like
thing
hearing
I don't
reasons.
think that I envy you guys for is, as much as it's cool to be like a face of a movie, like if something blows up and everyone recognizes you, at the same time, I kind of like the one that's in charge of getting rid of you guys if I don't like you. I don't know if I could stand being that guy that someone tells me I suck and it goes to somebody else.
Well, I think the whole thing with that is when you get an audition, you just do the audition and just forget about it. Just forget about it. You know what? If you get it, they'll call you. If you don't get a call, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
So the best thing is just do it, send it, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And that's what I learned, but yeah, I learned that quickly.
I've done 13 auditions for Chicago Fire and Chicago Med. It's like become a hobby.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
I can tell you one thing, Michael. After this conversation, you and Frank are going to be like best fucking friends.
I said, you watch, Michael. Oh, one day you and I we're going to do this film for MJ, and then we'll be on Chicago Fire one day. We'll be something. And
Right.
like, we made
Right.
it.
But the thing too with Chicago.
Well, hopefully, if I did my job, Chicago Fire is going to be approaching you guys and offering you straight up roles.
Right.
The Chicago Fire thing is an iffy thing because Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD. Let's say you do get a role on that. Unless it's a reoccurring role, you're not going to get another role on that show. So those roles, I mean, like I could list 50 people I know who have been on Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD.
Yeah.
They can't get back on them because they've already had their time on it. It's not one that recasts. So that, as cool as it would be to get that role, it's not the biggest fish out there.
Is it a 5-year wait, Michael, that you have to wait before you get back on an NBC Universal Studio show?
I
Is it
heard-
5 years. I heard.
I heard 2 or 3, but
Yeah, it's I believe it's
Yeah.
2 or 3. That's what Ricky Bartlett had to wait for because he
Yeah.
played the security guard on Chicago PD, I think, or no, Chicago Med. And Ricky had to wait like 2 or 3 years before he could audition again.
Yeah. Which that's cool
Oh,
too.
that's interesting. I never knew that either.
yeah.
That's
So
really interesting. That's why I like finding stuff out like that.
And
It's
if you do get a role that's okay, so the roles that I know all these little inside tricks. The roles that you do want would be like someone who's like a paramedic, a fireman, something of that stature, because if you do well enough, then the next time they need that type of character, they can go, we're just going to go right to this guy who did it before. And I know a couple people who are in that position where every now and then they get called back to the show because they did it once and they liked him enough that they were like, okay, we need a paramedic. You know what? He did good last time. We're just going to bring him back instead of recasting a whole new person.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's a good one. If you can ever get one as a juror on a trial type scene, you're locked in for the entire time that jury period films. And even if you have no lines, you still have to be in the shot because you're part of the jury. So you could get like 2 to 4 weeks paid every day as the juror, you know.
Not a bad gig.
So yeah, no.
That's awesome. Patrick's asking, what do you have for the perks for fundraising, for your fundraising? He wants to know for the replay.
So basically, we have it set up as dollar amounts. So, for example, if you donate like $10, you'll get like a social media shout out, something like that. If you donate $50, then you get a movie poster for the film. If you donate $300, basically what you get is you'll receive a movie poster, and then you'll get like a special thanks credit in the actual film credits. So like, you'll be in like the film's ending credits. If you donate $500, you'll get a movie poster, and then you'll get a producer credit in the ending credits, along with a IMDb credit of the same category. So like, if you don't have an IMDb page and you're just kind of like, oh man, it'd be pretty cool to have an IMDb page, show off my friends at the bar, whatever, you can get that. And then if you donate $1,000 or more, you receive the movie poster. You get an executive producer credit along with that IMDb title. And then you actually get the script sent to you early so that you can actually know what happens in the film ahead of time before everybody else. So
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, go help Michael and these guys and their film. Anything else you guys want to say? Because we've been on for an hour and 11 minutes. Anything else you guys would like to say?
I don't think so. Like I said, just to reiterate,
Hey,
Al's coming in as soon as we're getting off. Just to reiterate is, yeah, help me help these guys. I'm not saying this to, I promise this is genuine. Like, I don't care about making money on this movie. I really want to pay my talent and my crew what they're worth. And that's very hard to do when you're crowdfunding. So help me pay these guys, help me make it worth their while, and help me basically pull a reverse Uno card on them. I become the new director of Chicago Med, and they got to answer to me.
That'd be cool.
all right.
All right, I feel like I should throw a plug in for the Killers Club. I just had a series that was licensed to Tubi, and it went up a week ago, and it's called the Killers Club.
You had another one too, right?
Well, I had a movie premiere on Saturday night in Chicago. That was for American Criminals.
I was going to say, plug that one as well.
Yeah, so that should be on Amazon at some point.
Like I said, rising tides lift all boats. Let's help Midwest filmmakers out. So,
So you two Michaels have to float my boat then, because
no, you're also.
you guys got to live.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but so Frank has actually become a writer, and I think director in your own right as well, right? Or just writer.
Well, yeah, I got too much respect for writers. I'm an idea person, and then what I do. Technically I wrote some stuff, and Brittany and I, co-directed a short film I worked on, and so
you just won an IMPA, right?
Yeah, Brittany and I did for
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was cool for direction. Yeah.
When you say Ricky, who do you mean? You and Ricky Bartlett?
No, Brittany
Oh,
Benedict.
Brittany Benedict.
Brittany.
Yeah, Michael Huntington's partner there.
Mhm.
Michael Huntington shot that for us and did a great job. So, but yeah, no, I got too much respect for writers and directors. I dabble in it, but I'm an actor. That's what I want to be known as, an actor.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Frank's
Thank you guys
a
so
jack
much.
of all trades, though.
Right. Thank you guys for coming on.
Bass guitar.
He's also a very good songwriter. Frank actually used to be a lead singer of a rock band.
Oh, that's awesome. I love rock bands.
Yeah.
Back when Frank had hair, it was like an 80s hair metal band.
Right.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And you guys are always welcome back. You know that. If you guys ever want to come on, just hang out, talk movies, you guys are always welcome back.
And honestly, Frank and Michael, keep Katie in mind too when you guys have like other projects. Like I know, Michael, you said you have some releases coming out. Talk to their directors, hit up Katie, let her know. Like she'll get you on a crowd in front of at least over 1,000 people. I watched her YouTube break 1,000, which I was super proud of. And
Yeah, he was on my.
Katie's the best.
I think you were on my stream when I reached 1,000, something like that.
Well, because we did the podcast before you did that stream, and I remember saying like, guys, she's almost there. Get her to 1,000. And it was like 2 days later, he had the live stream, and it was great.
Nice.
Yeah. And he popped into the chat, so that was awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for
along with
coming on.
Also you two that like to talk film. I'm sure. So have Cheetah will view in the comments. His name is Patrick Michael. I'm sure he's going to be reaching out to probably both of you about talking about your various come-ups for sure. And then Al Lucard, we already did a podcast for the Wicked Ways of Webster County, but I'm sure he'll probably approach both of you guys about doing private episodes with just the two of you talking about your acting background and stuff like that. So one of the reasons why I love this whole community is it's like one giant family, and once you're in, they fucking take care of you. So
nice.
Yeah, utilize them as much as you can. They're all super fantastic, terrific people. And then once again, Val, thanks for moderating. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Val, thank you. And thank you so much, Patrick, for moderating as well. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And I hope to see you guys soon. Love you all. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.